Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Trillions of dollars in federal aid flowed through the economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars flowed through to states. And guess what? States actually pocketed, yes, you heard that right, they pocketed millions of dollars in COVID relief funds, in stimulus funds for pet projects. This is a bombshell, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Chhoda. Please take a moment of your time to click the like button, to click subscribe and enable notifications because of all the effort that goes into the production of videos consistently on this channel. This episode is based on this article on your screen from Fox Business. States pocketed millions in COVID relief cash for pet projects. In fact, several lawmakers from both sides of the aisle spoke out against COVID funds going to state and local projects. In fact, Larry Kudlow actually spoke about this and said that the COVID relief bill would be a vehicle to put on every left-wing wish list. Let's take a look at brief comments from Larry Kudlow. Let's watch.
And in the worst-kept secret in Washington anyway, this so-called COVID relief bill would just be a vehicle to put on every left-wing wish list items that they couldn't get from BBB and Joe Manchin. Everybody knows that. And it's not going to happen. Look it, we've had three major relief bills totaling nearly $6 trillion. You reckon that's enough? Biden was just bragging how strong the economy is. But the White House wants even more federal spending? What, so we can have even higher inflation? So that after tax, after inflation disposable income, which has dropped 3 straight months, will continue to fall, decimating middle-class consumers because of rising prices? Is that what Biden wants? Here's some numbers, courtesy of the Committee for a Responsible Budget. Of the $5.7 trillion appropriated, only $4.9 trillion has been spent. I say only because it leaves $800 billion unspent. The numbers, all these numbers are horrible. I'm not defending them, but just saying there's still almost $1 trillion of unspent money. Now, of that total, $240 billion in health spending allocations has not been spent. $240 billion. That's a lot of money. Well, where'd that go?
So, folks, here's what's going on. States across the United States of America pocketed stimulus funds to use on pet projects. In fact, President Biden's legislation, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, that alone allocated $350 billion to assist struggling states and localities that were struggling through the pandemic. What did states do? They took hundreds of millions of dollars in COVID relief money and allocated it for pet projects. So let's take a look at one example. Broward County in Florida took $140 million. This is taxpayer money, folks. This is money from you and me. They took $140 million and they allocated it on a new 29-story luxury hotel overlooking the Atlantic Ocean with 800 rooms and 11,000-foot spa. In fact, Broward County officials defended their use of the money to build the hotel and said that would be owned by the county but run by a private management group. Yeah, I think they think that we're all idiots. That's what they think. In fact, county officials did change course with the cash they initially earmarked to the hotel project, and they put it in the county's general fund to offset tax revenue losses, which is a federally acceptable use of the money. The money was then transferred back to the hotel project from the general funds. Can you believe that? Think about this for a second. In fact, the county administrator, Monica Capera, told the Associated Press, no federal funds will be used to pay off any of the costs of developing the hotel project. The county has reviewed the Treasury guidance and modified the use of the funds. Well, folks, there are other examples. Dutchess County in New York paid $12 million in federal funds. This is COVID stimulus money to renovate a Yankees-affiliated minor league baseball stadium. Yep, you heard that right. A Yankees-affiliated minor league team stadium. And if you thought that was enough, check this out. Massachusetts took $5 million in taxpayer money and they paid off debts of the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate. Sometimes when I report this news, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry, folks. In fact, Dutchess County officials also backed the use of the money, calling it completely and absolutely consistent with how Congress instructed to spend the money. Now, the Edward Kennedy Institute did not respond to the association for comment, and the Dutchess County executive, Marcus Molinaro, said this: "It's ironic that this criticism emanates from the same congressional members who have brought back pork barrel earmarks." So I guess their strategy is to blame someone else. There have been other pet projects, folks, undertaken by states using taxpayer dollars. These include $400 million to create new prisons in the state of Alabama. Fantastic. Your taxpayer dollars going to create more prisons as opposed to trying to fight crime. Fabulous. $2 million to Pottawatomie County in Iowa to buy a privately owned ski area. $6.6 million to replace 2 Colorado Springs golf courses, irrigation systems, and a combined $80 million to promote tourism for Puerto Rico, Tucson, Arizona, and Washington, D.C. In fact, Congressman Greg Murphy, a Republican from North Carolina, who's a practicing physician and the Republican Doctors Caucus Vice Chair, said this: "For months, Republicans warned Americans about the inflationary consequences of the Democrats' mammoth spending. This report confirms what we already knew. The so-called American Rescue Plan was a $2 trillion sham that wasted billions in taxpayer dollars and directly contributed to Biden's current economic crisis." In fact, Murphy continued, "We must demand accountability for liberals' no-strings-attached handouts and stop Democrats from bankrupting the future of our nation." In fact, Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a Republican from Oklahoma, who's running for the Senate, by the way, told Fox News, "Liberals in Washington took advantage of the COVID pandemic to pass trillions of dollars of progressive wish list items." Mullins continued, "It's entirely unsurprising that so-called COVID relief has been used to break ground on fancy new hotels and spas and even pay off debts for non-profit organizations. Democrat socialists in Congress send free money at the taxpayers' expense to fund local pet projects under the guise of relief. They lied to the American people." Mullins also said American families are always left to foot the bill for Chuck Schumer's out-of-control spending, and he said that inflation at the highest level since 1982 and gas prices hitting record levels, leftist policies are entirely to blame for the financial hardship that is plaguing families across the nation. He said the mainstream media should ask Nancy Pelosi how funding a new ski slope is relevant to the fight against COVID-19. I guarantee she won't have an answer because she doesn't care. Wow, folks, this is pretty incredible what's going on. And in fact, Congressman Ralph Norman, who's a Republican from South Carolina, called the entire stimulus package by the Democrats a giveaway program. He said they are the cocaines of this generation. And he said, "I mean, the whole thing is an abomination to this country to spend $1.5 trillion, which is a 16% increase of the total of last year's budget, and to go further in debt. You can pick out any number of these earmarks with no offsets. It continues to amaze me. We are on a path that bankrupts this country. And for the Republicans, who are supposed to be the party of conservatism, to do this is completely shocking to me. And we don't know the half of it because nobody has read the thing." Well, folks, that's where things stand right now. Hundreds of millions of dollars allocated towards fancy hotels, non-profit organizations, and stadiums, sports stadiums. This is the state of the United States of America right now. Let me know what you think, and if you appreciate this honest reporting, please click the like button, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.